The story begins with a advantage of the disaster to steal from those who are unable to escape. In the middle of this chaos, the same girl uses fire magic to kill a man who is taking advantage of the situation and then escapes from the mine. However, her use of magic causes others to label her as a witch. In this era, society has no understanding of human rights, and witches are treated as dangerous beings that must be eliminated. The town is weak, and the increasing number of witches has made the situation even more difficult, leaving the people with very few options. At the same time, a servant named Barov goes to find the prince. As he approaches, a maid informs him that the prince is still asleep. Barov enters the room and wakes him up, but when the prince opens his eyes, he appears confused, almost as if he is in a trance. He struggles to understand what is happening around him, but eventually recalls his identity. He is then informed that he must pass judgment on a captured witch, and everyone is waiting for his decision. Despite feeling physically weak, he makes his way outside, but decides not to execute her immediately. Instead, he orders that she be locked up and her execution postponed. The guards question his decision, explaining that witches are a growing threat and must be dealt with quickly. However, Roland does not seem overly concerned and simply orders that all witches be imprisoned until further notice, including the girl in question. Later, while traveling toward another area, Roland continues observing how different this world is compared to the one he came from. He recalls that he is now a prince ruling over a border town where people lack confidence in his leadership. Despite this, he decides that he cannot sit back and allow the situation to worsen. He resolves to take action and improve the town, introducing himself as Prince Roland. He acknowledges that he is actually a reincarnated individual from the modern world. At one point, he suddenly collapses while eating, likely due to the strain of adjusting to his new body, and circle with him and explain the situation in more detail. He questions why the witch was supposed to be executed in the first place. Although he describes the incident involving the girl, stating that she used fire magic to kill a child in a cruel and inhuman way. He warns Roland not to trust any witch, claiming that they often kidnap children. He proceeds anyway. Accompanied by the knight Carter, he goes to the prison cell where the girl is being held. Carter advises him to keep his distance, but Roland does not follow that advice. Instead, he calmly approaches the girl and asks for her name and her version of the events that took place in the mine. The girl introduces herself as Anna and explains that she worked in the mines and lived there with her father. When the earthquake occurred, everything became chaotic. During the disaster, her father was injured by a falling beam, leaving him helpless. At that moment, another boy attempted to steal the small amount of money they had saved to survive. When the situation escalated and the boy was about to harm her father, Anna used her fire magic to defend him, which resulted in the boy's death. Hearing this risk, and that his actions might even lead to his own death, but he still does not believe that Anna is a demon. He reasons that if she truly were one, then her father would not have dared to betray her so easily. Hearing someone finally understand her situation causes Anna to break anyone. After she finishes demonstrating her ability, Anna quietly asks what her fate will be. Roland responds by telling her that she has misunderstood the situation. He has no intention of executing her. Instead, he offers her a place by his side, saying that he wants to hire her and make use of her abilities for the betterment of his kingdom. We see that Roland continues analyzing the overall situation of this world, and after closely observing the condition of his town, he realizes that it is going through serious economic difficulties. Given these circumstances, having a witch as an ally suddenly becomes extremely beneficial, since her abilities could play a crucial role in the plans he is beginning to form. When Barov enters the room, he informs Roland that the staged execution of the witch was a complete success, as the public did not notice the deception behind it and accepted it without suspicion. Taking advantage of this, Roland asks Barov to gather all available reports regarding trades, workshops, trade routes, and the kingdom's income, so that he can carefully analyze them and understand exactly where things are going wrong. Barov notices this shift in attitude and realizes that Roland is finally prepared to take his role as a ruler seriously. He recalls how Roland had previously been banished from the royal family due to past problems and was sent to govern this remote and underdeveloped town, which is far from the central kingdom and receives little attention. This situation is made even more complicated by the influence of the church, which effectively controls the region and imposes strict and extremist beliefs against witches. Because of this, Roland understands that if he wants to rebuild the kingdom, he must first prove that the church's claims about witches are false. This will require a long and careful effort, but it is necessary if he wants to show that his father made a mistake by exiling him to such a place. The best way to prove himself, Roland believes, is to transform this struggling territory into a successful and powerful domain. However, to achieve that, he must eliminate the harmful beliefs that dominate the people's thinking. Once those ideas are removed, the people will no longer blindly obey the church, and without any higher authority controlling him, Roland will be able to establish his own rule and eventually become the true king of the land. Barov then explains that this is precisely why Roland chose not to execute the witch, as he intends to use her abilities as part of his plan to rebuild the kingdom. Roland then asks Barov to officially serve as his right-hand man in governing the territory. Although Barov feels uncertain and somewhat afraid about the potential consequences, especially if other kingdoms discover Roland's plans, he ultimately accepts the role. Outside, Roland meets Carter, who recognizes the seriousness of the situation and prepares himself for what lies ahead. Meanwhile, in another location, Anna reflects on the contract Roland has given her, which promises her 1 gold coin every month. This shocks her, as a single gold coin is enough for her to live comfortably for an entire year, something she never experienced before while living with her father. As she thinks about this, Roland approaches her and begins discussing her abilities. Anna expresses doubt about her own power, explaining that she sees it more as a curse than a gift, recalling a traumatic experience involving her mother. However, Roland disagrees with her perspective and decides to demonstrate his point using a simple example. He hands her a flower and tells her that it is one of the most poisonous plants in the world. Instinctively, Anna drops it in fear,